This lesson shows how to use the rational actor paradigm to identify why bad decisions occur, to suggest ways to eliminate the recurrence of bad decisions, and to get to yes. The rational actor paradigm presumes that people make the decision they view as being in their best interest. A decision is bad when it hurts the owners and people in the firm had enough information to forecast that the decision would in fact be bad. We put these two things together, we can ask three questions to identify why a bad decision occurred. First, who decided? Second, what information did the decider have? And third, what incentives did the decider face? Once you get the answer to those two questions, you can usually have a pretty good idea about why the decision occurred. Once you've got answers to those three questions, solutions become quickly obvious, or at least potential solutions become obvious. One way to improve the decisions is to move the decision rights to someone who has better information or better incentives. A second way to improve decisions is to improve the information flow to the decider. And a third way is to change the incentives faced by the decider. To use the rational actor paradigm to improve decisions, you can follow a simple 7-step process. First, identify the bad decision. The first piece of this is actually to identify whether the decision was in fact bad. Remember, if the cost of improving the situation is higher than the cost you're currently bearing, no problem exists. Also remember, hindsight is perfect, foresight is not. Some choices are simply risky, and sometimes bad luck occurs. Having identified the bad decision, then identify the decider who made that bad decision. Third, identify the information possessed by the decider. Fourth, identify the incentives faced by the decider. Fifth, determine if decision rights can be transferred to a decider with better information or incentives. Then determine if information flow can be to the decider can be improved. And finally, number 7, determine if incentives to the decider can be improved. We can also use the rational actor paradigm to get to yes. When you are negotiating with a buyer or seller or your boss or someone that you're supervising, understand that they are going to do things that they think are in their best interest. So you've got to create a situation where they view it in their best interest to do what you want them to do, or to agree with you. If you want your boss to accept your proposal, you've got to show that it's in you got to show your boss that it's in his or her best interest to say yes. Logic doesn't carry the weight. Logic alone is not sufficient. Showing that it's best for the firm is not sufficient. Once you show the boss that it's in his or her best interest to say yes, he'll say yes. The same is true for a buyer or seller. If you're trying to sell, you've got to convince the buyer that it's in his or her best interest to say yes to you. Otherwise, getting the sale is going to be very difficult.